Okay, so I know I said I was going to be streaming on YouTube today, but actually I'm here on Twitch. I've got some issues with my YouTube streaming thing. I haven't set it up properly and I don't know quite how to do it. So, yeah. So that's that. Welcome to this week's Kendo Gamer. If you're new to this, Kendo Gamer is basically a live stream, or you could be watching this later on YouTube, where I basically play around on video games, just messing around really, having a bit of fun, whilst also sort of chatting about Kendo, and taking questions as well, of course, from the audience if there are any. There's a chat on this side if you're watching this live on Twitch right now, where you can post comments and questions, of course, which I'll answer as I go along. So I'm talking today about how to write a good practice menu. So I'll get into it in just a moment. We'll be talking about what kind of practice menu is good for different levels of Kendoka and different intentions or purposes and what have you. I'm playing Call of Duty Black Ops 4. Yeah, I know I normally play on For Honor, but I thought that'd be a little bit boring, doing that over and over again. I don't have loads of games installed right now. I'm super rubbish at Call of Duty, super rubbish, so I thought I'd show you just how rubbish I am. So yeah, we're gonna play on it, and I'm gonna get battered whilst you all sort of watch. And I talk about Kendo, and that's gonna be excuse. That's gonna be my excuse that I'm concentrating on talking for being rubbish at the game. Honest, that's it. So yeah, I want to talk about how to write a good practice menu, and this is really great obviously if you are a Kendo teacher, or if it's something in the future that you might be looking to do, obviously, is teach Kendo to others. If you have the chance to organize a practice with your peers, what kind of things you can include in your practice, and how you can build that menu, as it were, to suit the people and yourself, of course, in the practice, if that makes sense. So I hope the audio is okay. I'm hoping you can all hear me all right and what have you. I need to turn it down so you're not getting too much of the audio from the speakers through the microphone there. Hopefully that's a bit better. Right, who am I going to play as? I'm going to play as this one.
Represent the company.
Drone. So the first, basically, I've broke this down. I've got my little cheat sheet today that I've wrote out to decide the sort of order of what we're going to chat about, and just make sure there's no one here trying to get me. There is. Oh. See, told you I was bad at this. Don't be watching this for gameplay tips, yeah, because it's the wrong stream. So I've taken this down basically into what we're going to talk about. We're going to look at the considerations when making a practice menu. We're going to look at what types of drills or practice methods there are that could be included, and what they are there to kind of improve. Oh dear me. What they're there to improve in your Kendo, and I'm also going to be talking about appropriately selecting the methods, or building the menu, as it were, based on the actual group or the actual attendees of the practice. Okay. So let's see if I can actually kill somebody. I think it's unlikely. I'm not feeling so keen here. So first, the things we've got to consider. All right, what are the considerations we have to make when we are I'll just fly this little drone out. That might help. What considerations do we have to make when we're putting together a practice? Well, the first thing we have to consider, of course, is the purpose of the practice itself, the overall purpose of the practice. Dear. The purpose itself, all right? What do we want the practice to achieve, both for ourselves and for the people who are present? Then we've got to also consider... Oh, got one. We've also got to consider the sort of situation of the people who are in attendance. Yeah, so we need to consider things like what their ability, their level is, what age they are, perhaps, what age they are, and what their intention is as well, of course, right? So what are they wanting from their kendo practice? You know, are they super competitive people, or are they more casual? Are they just looking to enjoy it? You know, we've got to consider all of these things as we consider. I said consider twice there, didn't I? As we think about making a practice menu. I'm getting skittish. Okay, so these are things we have to consider. All right, the purpose of the practice itself, what we want it to achieve, who is participating, and what they want out of it. Yeah, and that includes yourself, of course. You know, because that's also an element of it. I'm just going to camp here for a minute. So with that in mind, we can look at some different types of actual practice methods. Yeah, actual practice methods that can be included in our practice that might help us achieve the goals that we set out. So I've broken this down as well into 3 main sections. All right. Because I think when you look at practice drills or practice methods, I feel that they fall into 3 main categories as to what they are. I wouldn't say designed, but what I would say is that they're kind of especially good at improving, and they are improving kihon, so improving your actual basics, or your sort of foundations. I'd say that the second category is improving your overall ability, right? Your overall ability. Defeat, no surprise there. Your overall ability, and I'll go into that a little bit more as we move on. And then also improving your spirit, yeah, your actual spirit, your fighting spirit, as it were. And obviously, a lot of these, they fall into several of the categories as well. They're not all just stuck in one, you know. They're in several categories. Let's sort of go through them. So let's start with improving kihon, because that's like the most kind of fundamental thing. Arguably one of the most important aspects. All right, so different types of drills or methods. Of course, we've got ashi sabaki, yeah, practicing actually the free for all mode, where we could be practicing, for example, suriashi, ayumiashi. There's lots of different practice methods, of course. How do I get back? Don't know. I think it's loading. There's lots of it's sort of stuck. Lots of different ways you can practice ashi sabaki, right? You can practice ayumiashi, okuriashi, fumikomiashi. You can practice it fast, you can practice it slow, you can practice it in different directions. You can practice it like in different styles, different patterns. Okay, suburi is the next one. All right, suburi is the next practice method that, of course, is part of doing practice method to improve your kihon. Lots of types of suburi: joge suburi, joge naname suburi, men suburi, kote, kukan datotsu type suburi, haya suburi, fumikomi suburi, matawari suburi. There's lots of types of suburi, of course, that can be combined with the ashi sabaki also to help improve your kihon. We've got kirikaishi, of course. Kirikaishi, I've definitely put this in part of improving kihon, because kirikaishi is like the main overall exercise in kendo, isn't it? That encompasses all aspects of kihon. Yeah, it encompasses ashi sabaki. It encompasses tenuichi, as well as yuko datotsu, striking with kikentai no ichi, good breathing, and moving the wrists properly so that you can perform good waza and with good tenuichi, stuff like that. I think that's definitely an important thing. Uchikomi geiko. Uchikomi is like a really important aspect as well of kihon practice, because it allows you to learn to develop practicing fluid movements in your kendo, yeah. And of course, kihon-uchi. Now, kihon-uchi is what I would consider to be like when you say, okay, let's practice 5 times men. Just it could be large men, could be small men, but just the basic men strike, right? Sort of in your own timing, men or kote, whatever. Okay, ashitabaki, suburi, kirikaeshi, uchikomi, oikomi. Oikomi, actually, I skipped over oikomi. But kihon-uchi, okay? Oikomi is when you have like a long area of the dojo, and you maybe do like men, all the way down as your opponent sort of runs backwards. Yeah, that's oikomi geiko, and I've got that in kihon as well, because I think oikomi geiko is one of the most misunderstood practice methods, because we're hitting repeatedly as the opponent retreats. Yeah, we fall into a habit very easily of concentrating just on striking. All right, just hitting, bash, 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 bash. And oikomi, what I often say is oikomi geiko is not hitting practice. Yeah, it's not hitting practice. It's footwork practice, actually. I think that's okay, nice. It's footwork practice. Okay, you have to learn to use correct footwork in oikomi, otherwise you can't do it. Yeah, it's absolutely footwork practice, not hitting practice. So I consider it part of the type of keiko that's very good at improving your kihon. Okay. And then the next category is improving your overall ability. Now, what do I mean by overall ability? All right, because all of these improve your overall ability. But what I mean is, like, it's all right being really good at like kihon and having really nice basics. That's one thing. Yeah, it's great to be like that. Of course it is. But for example, if you don't know many techniques or many waza, you don't have any idea of strategy, or you have no like way to understand, you sort of don't understand how to like apply seme, for example, then you're never gonna really be able to achieve what you want out of your kendo, right? You're not really going to be able to have a super successful kind of time of things, whatever your sort of goals are, right? So included in what I've considered to be practice methods that are there to help improve your overall ability, the first one I've got is waza no kaihatsu. Waza no kaihatsu is like technique development. You could call it waza geiko even. Where you're practicing your waza variety, help develop a variety of waza, I guess is a better way of phrasing that. But for example, I'm going to use that. Yes, you could practice lots of different waza. Okay, now we're going to practice men. Next, we're going to practice hikimen. Then we're going to practice, I don't know, gyakudo or something. That's one that's popular. Next, we're going to practice ski. Yeah, I mean that's sort of waza variety. But what I mean in more useful terms or more accurate terms would be that waza variety, so there's like men nukido, there's all these different waza you could write down, but like just men, okay, menuchi, there's like loads of different ways that you could achieve a menuchi strike, right? Loads of different ways. Okay, so you would use your maybe like after the opponent's trying to block in this direction, you would apply seme to a different area so that they would move in that way, so you could strike men, or you know, like some of the stuff that I've covered in videos, even like about how to beat a blocker against somebody that's going to block like this. How would you defeat them? How would you still be able to achieve men? Or hikiwaza, for example. How do you do hikiwaza against someone that's always hooking your shinai or pushing down really strongly? You know, this is the kind of waza no kaihatsu that I'm really talking about, that would improve a lot, you know? And stuff like waza applications as well. So like how you would apply different waza to various situations. I don't know if I need this car. I'm going to leave it. So maybe one that I like to do is, okay, so after the opponent's done an unsuccessful hikiwaza, most people will try to chase them down as fast as they can and hit men. You know, what kind of applications can we use in that situation? Could we perhaps, if you're the side that does the hikiwaza and the motodachi chases you down and hits men sort of mindlessly, as people often do, you could practice maybe hikiwaza and then degote or kaishido or something like that. Or perhaps you could practice against a different situation, perhaps where, you know, like after chasing them down, after hikiwaza, they don't, you know, they just block, yeah? So the motodachi this time does the hikiwaza, and the kakarite chases them down, and when they block, you maybe hit gyakudo, or you hit a different waza, you know? And these are kind of applications of waza, you know? So I consider them part of the waza no kaihatsu. And then next, I guess the next step from that is moshiawase geiko, or jiyu geiko, they sometimes call it, where basically you just talk with your partner and say, okay, I'd like to practice this. I'd like to practice like hikimen 5 times, or I'd like to practice men, or kote, or tsuki, or whatever. And you just talk with your opponent, and your partner, sorry. Not really opponent. Should we go for a race with the little car? You just talk with your opponent, and how did it get in here? It was there, wasn't it? No, not. How did I get in here even? I've lost the exit. Oh well. Right, I'll forget that. Talk with your opponent and just discuss what waza you want to practice with each other. And that's obviously, you know, you pick from the waza that you know, and you repeat it for your own practice, okay? And again, of course, that's going to improve your ability, because it's giving you the chance there to practice, you know, different techniques that you might not normally practice in a more basic situation, if that makes sense. Oh, did I just hear something, or was it just me imagining it? It was me imagining it. You know, I'm going to jump out of my skin in a minute when somebody creeps up on me. So, yeah, that's that. And then, in addition to those types of practice, other types of practice that can help you improve your overall ability are shiai geiko. So, most of us do some form of shiai geiko in our regular practice, in the form of ippon shobu. Maybe you do jigeiko with somebody, and then you say, okay, hi, ippon shobu kind of thing, and you do ippon shobu. And that's a type of shiai geiko, okay? So it puts you in a high-pressure, competitive situation where you have to make instant decisions and instantly select the appropriate waza. I told you I was bad at this game. Right. So you have to make instantaneous decisions based on the movements and reactions of your opponent in order to, you know, do the ippon shobu. And then you can also do shiai geiko with shimpan, okay? So other people act as a shimpan, and that's also the keiko for them, yeah? That's also the practice for them, because doing shimpan, it's also part of your practice to improve your overall ability, all right? You mustn't forget that. And then also, in addition to that, you've got tachiai geiko. Tachiai geiko would be like like something where you would practice like a 2-minute or 1-minute bout, and you'd perhaps treat it like you would a grading, like, you know, if you're in a grading situation. Should we go back to the other game mode, because it was a bit boring, that, wasn't it? So you basically do the kind of same kind of keiko that you do at a grading, yeah, in your keiko. And of course, jigeiko, just a standard type of jigeiko, whether it's with sensei or with your peers, or even with your juniors. And then, of course, kata geiko. Kata, you have to practice kata as well. That's part of improving your overall ability. All right. And then I'd say that the final category being improving your spirit. The practice methods that are really, really useful for that are, again, kirikaishi. Like I said, some of these are spilling over into different, you know, they not spilling over, but they apply to several of these categories, yeah? But you could also modify kirikaishi as well to make it more of a spiritual type training rather than just a I'm doing that one. Rather than just a technical type practice. You could, you know, perhaps do it for longer, more cuts. You could do it in one breath, like the whole thing in one breath, or you could do, you know, there's lots of ways you could do that. And same uchikomi geiko as well. You could add more techniques to uchikomi geiko, make it a little bit harder. And same with oikomi as well. Oikomi, you can add things to make it harder. You can make it oikomi kirikaishi. You can sort of combine them, as it were. And of course, everybody's favorite, kakari geiko. Kakari geiko is where you attack many times in the time that you've got available. As much as possible, you attack as many times as possible. And you... It's very, very, very hard, very, very hard. You do it in full spirit, and it is indeed, like I say, it's there to toughen your spirit, foster your sort of fighting spirit, and make your kind of fighting, what do you say, like sort of build your determination. Okay, so they're the three main categories of practice types, I would say, that I like to break practice methods down into. Alright, so when I'm building a practice method, right, after I've decided what the purpose of the practice is, and I've figured out what the intention and the level and the age of the participants is, and also the other thing that I forgot to mention actually about the considerations you have to have, is also how long the practice is. You know, if you're practicing for an hour or if you're practicing for 4 hours, it's totally different, isn't it? Because you can afford to spend more time on different things. So once I've sort of got that idea in my mind, I'll then use those categories to select the type of practice methods that will fit that agenda, if you know what I mean. You know, it would help me. Let me just park this somewhere that's going to be somewhat useful. I think someone killed me while I was doing that.
UAV circling.
So what I'd like to do now is talk about actually appropriately selecting those practice methods, choosing which ones are appropriate. There's one there.
Deactivated Reaper.
There's another one there, isn't there? How to choose the right methods. Methods to fit those sort of things that we set out, those considerations that we set out at the start. So we'll start with an example. All right. So let's say we've got I've got some examples, and the example we're working on is we've got a mixed ability group. All right, and it includes. He got away! He got away! He got away! I can't believe he got away. I had all those bullets as well. It includes complete beginners. And people that are perhaps just not yet wearing Bulgur, you know, a very mixed group, right? Oh, there's 2 of them. It's not my fault. So I would mainly focus this with practice methods from the types of drills that are really good at improving the kihon, the foundations. Yeah, it seems obvious, I know, but I mean, you know, that's what I'd be looking at. I'd be trying to take things like asabaki. I'll be spending a lot of time doing asabaki, which is something that I often do in that sort of situation. I probably spend even up to half of the practice doing ashtabaki, yeah, with a little bit of suburi starting to bleed in towards the end. Because it is such an important aspect of it, and they've really got to get it locked down, I think. Then obviously move into suburi, making sure it's correct suburi, remembering that when we do suburi, it's not the focus of this practice really is to build up kihon, the ability of the foundations or fundamentals. I'd be looking at don't get me. If I can just shoot him, no. Okay. Remembering that it's not about how many times we swing the shinai or the bokdo, yeah, but it's that each one has to be beneficial to our kendo, yeah. It's not spirit training here where we're just trying to make ourselves, overcome our kind of weaknesses by, tiring ourselves, as it were. And then we move into kirikaishi again with the same sort of principle, not looking at just trying to do it as fast as we can. Of course, practicing kirikaishi with renzoku is also important. Yes, it doesn't mean that they could just practice it slowly. We practice it slowly and correctly, but also consider practicing correctly, but also with renzoku. So man. Yeah, but it doesn't mean that everything goes out the window, yeah, because it's not this isn't the focus of this practice isn't to toughen our spirit at the moment, right? And I'd also include obviously the kihon, so the basic like men cutting practice, possibly kote practice, but it depends on the overall level of people. If it's complete beginners, I'd probably keep it just for men. And then some basic uchikomi as well, if they're at the stage where they're able to strike. I would also be including some basic uchikomi, perhaps set out a pattern for the uchikomi rather than have the motodachi decide the pattern of the strikes. So I would probably say from the beginning it's going to be men, then kote men, then men taitariki men, men taitariki do men, something like that. Something like that, is probably what I would do. But they would have to do it continuously, so it would still be very tiring for them. They'd have to challenge themselves, alright? So it still would become beneficial to their sort of spiritual training as well, alright? And I would do this as well, even if, this isn't what I would do only with beginners, alright? If this was a mixed practice that include beginners, yeah, and more advanced people, I would also do this kind of practice, alright? Because even advanced people need to constantly practice like this also, yeah? Need to constantly practice like this also. So that's the kind of menu I would be looking to do in that situation. If, however, we move on to a different type of example where we've got an advanced ability group, okay? So the majority of the group is more advanced. They're all wearing Borgu, perhaps, and perhaps even many of them have got the Dan grade. Then let's see if I can get someone with this thing.
Start deployed.
Ooh, I've got a flight myself. Oh no, I just drove into the side of the building.
Deploying bolt.
Even if, yeah, perhaps even some of them have got downgrades, then, oh no, not good enough. Then the sort of menu I'd be looking at then would be something that would be a more equal balance of your kihon, as well as practice methods to raise the overall ability, and starting to include more challenging exercises that help to obviously increase the spirit, foster the fighting spirit. So we would still cover ashtabaki and suburi, but probably not spend as much time on it. Certainly cover perform the kirikaishi, and also I'd start to include more advanced uchikomi, and certainly, oh, I've lost again. Certainly, if possible, I'd like to try and start to introduce Oikomi Geiko as well, because it's a very important aspect of improving our kihon, our fundamentals, and moving into the kihon uchi as well. We'd probably include more waza, large men as well as small men. I actually, even if I've got people like in my club, where I teach, if I've got people that are not wearing bogi yet, but they're not the brand new beginners. They're at the position where they're wearing the dogi and hakama, and they're able to strike people wearing bogu without any issue. Then I start to introduce more waza to them. I have them practice men. I have them practice kote. I have them practice kote men, and I have them practice suki. Okay, which is controversial. I know lots of people people ask me, why do you have them practice ski before you even have them practice do? And that's because I think that practicing ski is an important part of the core concept of kendo. I think it helps develop the correct grip with the left hand, and it helps improve their kamae. Whereas do, I think they can easily kind of get it wrong by trying to swing the shinai around the head and around the houses that way. It's a much harder waza, I think, actually, than ski. Yeah, that's what I do with that. And of course, I'd be introducing jigeiko as well. I often don't include jigeiko in menus where very, very low level beginners are there, and even people that are not that familiar to wearing bogu. I don't believe that jigeiko has to be, if I run maybe 3 kendo classes a week, and I don't actually include jigeiko in all of them. I don't think jigeiko has to be part of every single practice for most situations, when people are that can when the practice contains a mixed group of people, particularly when the majority of the people are not dan grade holders. And kata geiko as well, I would include kata geiko, not in every single practice, but it would certainly be part of the rotation of practice methods that I select. And of course, kakari-geiko would start to be introduced so that we can start to foster that fighting spirit. And yeah, I think that would be a nice balanced sort of menu for people that are of advanced ability. Like I say, mainly people wearing armor, and probably many of them downgrades. But when you've got a mixed intention, all right? So what I mean by mixed intention, though, of course, just to qualify that, is people that are... Some people might be interested in competition, some people might be interested in gradings, some people might not be interested in either, just want to enjoy doing kendo, or just kendo for their own personal development. That's how I would kind of make the menu in that situation. Okay. However, let's move on to the next example. Next example is if I have an advanced ability group, and probably a little bit more advanced here. I'll be looking at people that are definitely into the Dan grades now with their full board practicing, of course, that are very competition focused. All right, so perhaps national team members, or people that are very, very keen to do well in tournaments or competition. Now, of course, I would still have them practice sururi and somashi sabaki, but it would be a much smaller part of the practice regime from my perspective. I'm getting killed. This isn't going well, is it? Oh dear. And I would move into kirikaishi. We do quite a lot of kirikaishi depending on the time we have, but kirikaishi would be a large part of it, and we do several types of kirikaishi, so that we could use it as a way to not only improve the kihon, but improve the sort of spiritual side of it as well, the forging the fighting spirit part of it as well. At sort of the same time, if that makes sense. Oh dear, not quite good enough. And of course, uchikomi, oikomi, and this is where I'd really start to introduce the waza no kaihatsu as well, especially for kind of
Hostile UAV circling.
competitive type waza,
Straight down.
you know, strategic choices, stuff like that. I would be looking to talk about different situations that you might find in tournaments, and you know, use that to help increase their ability, their overall ability in that way. Right. And I think that's also a good place to include the Moshio Asegeko as well. So that again, that's where they talk with their partner, say, oh, I want to practice this, or I want to practice that, and you know, are able to kind of free practice there. And of course, I think Shiai Geiko would be a very important aspect of this kind of practice menu too. They need to, you know, especially if they are a competition-focused person, then yeah, they're going to need to practice the kind of Shiai techniques or Shiai situations in order to improve it. So whether that's Ippon Shobu, or I might even use like a modified type of Ippon Shobu. I do that quite a lot as well. So where, for example, you do Ippon Shobu, but one of the people is considered to already have Ippon and only needs the Hikiwake to win. But if they lose Ippon, they lose, or something like that. Or perhaps maybe Ippon Shobu from Tsubazeri is also an option. I can't believe how that from Tsubazeri with only Hikiwaza counting as Ippon. Stuff like that, you know.
Hostile sniper.
Oh dear.
Multiple hostile UAVs operating.
And yeah, Kakarigeiko. Lots of Kakarigeiko. That's super important for the Shiai training. Doing Kakarigeiko. And the Oikomi. I did say Oikomi already, but they'd have to do a lot of Oikomi because, you know, being able to make repetitive strikes is an important ability to have for a competitive player. All right, it's important for all kendoka, to be honest. It really is. Though, you know, admittedly, you're not going to go into a grading and look to be doing loads of like Renzoku Uchi, right? Because it might not really give the right impression that you want. So yeah, they'd be the sort of mainstays of that, and it depends, of course, on the amount of time that we've got to practice as to what kind of balance we would have with that. But a large part of the keiko would be taken up with the kirikaishi, uchikomi, oikomi, kakarigeiko sections, and if possible, I would use time for the waza no kaihatsu, the waza practice, waza development. Oh dear, I don't like the look of this. I think someone's going to kill me. I knew it.
Stocking up
See if
some
we can
kills.
shoot him with my bow and arrow. Oh no. And of course, yeah, the Kakarigeiko is super important.
Archer down.
And then finally, and to sort of wrap this up now, yeah, the other kind of example that I thought of would be how I would run a practice menu for a group of people that were really looking, again, advanced ability, but looking to pass gradings, yeah, or to achieve the Dan gradings. So again, I'd be putting a lot, you know, I'd be going back to a very good overall equal balance, really, of kihon and techniques that are there to improve the overall ability, and then also to foster the spirit. Yeah, it'd be a kind of roughly even balance of the three. So we'd be going back to doing a bit more of the Ashitabaki, Kirikaishi, sorry, not Kirikaishi, Ashitabaki and Suburi will be featuring quite heavily, as well as Kirikaishi, different types of Kirikaishi, but mainly there to improve or check the form is being carried out properly.
Launching hawk.
Same with uchikomi. Uchikomi would be all about practicing correct strikes that are definitely yuko datotsu. That would be pretty much priority when doing that. And yeah, I think I'd also be looking to definitely include the tachiai geiko, right? So perhaps we would, you know, split people into pairs and say, okay, we've got 1 minute to have somebody time it. 1 minute, and it's like the grading tachiai keiko, so they have to do the they have to do the keiko like exactly how they would as if they were doing the grading, yeah. And they get 1 minute or 2 minutes, whatever we've got, depends on the time. I think 1 minute is a good way to do that, and there's ways you can modify that too that I think are really useful. Like, for example, I've done it in the past where I've done that sort of tachiai geiko, and you're only allowed, for example, you're only allowed three attacks. After you've made 3 attacks, you're no longer allowed to. I've done it that way before. That's quite interesting. It prevents people from getting too carried away or swept up in the moment in their tachiai. And it means that they treat their waza with importance. It's a really interesting way of modifying the keiko. Okay, of course, kata geiko. Kata geiko will be super important because not only do you have to do the kata in grading, you know, of course you have to perform the kata in the grading, but you know, kata is one of the best ways of how you can practice the essentials of seme and datotsu no kikai and stuff like that, right? Stuff that you really do need in your grading, okay? And then finally, I'd be also looking to include kakarieko. We'd be looking at kakarieko too, because you really do need to build your spirit in the grading. You need to really force yourself into training the mindset that's required for making attacks with sutemi. Yeah, sutemi being attacks that are made with full, I wouldn't even say commitment, but like to throw everything away. You just throw away, you abandon your fears, yeah, with no fear, man, or whatever. All right, and that really comes from kakarieko. It does from uchikomi as well, but it comes more from kakarieko than anything else. All right, so definitely, even though you're trying to do the correct kendo for your grading, practicing the kakarieko is super important too. Okay, so that's it. I think that's where I'm going to wrap up, to be honest. It's been quite long. I hope it was interesting. I hope you enjoyed. It was kind of a bit of a different type of episode, really. But yeah, let me know in the comments if you're watching this on YouTube later. I don't seem to have any questions from the chat, so that's fine. But yeah, let me know in the comments down below what you think, if you'd like to see more, what you'd like me to talk about next time, stuff like that. Don't forget to do all the like, share, subscribe, all that sort of thing. We've got loads of new content coming as always. I'm working on Zero to Shodan episode 2. I'm pretty much halfway through it at the minute. Still got quite a lot of work to do on it, but we'll be bringing it to you very soon. Tomorrow is Thursday, so I'll be doing Kendo Rant as always. Get in the Kendo Show Early Access group. There'll be a link down there. I think get in that group. It's a great place to post questions for that. Friday, I'll do another analysis video, I think. They've been really good, the analysis videos. Last week's was super popular, where I did a sort of translation of a video that was out there already, but unfortunately it's been taken down because the original uploader didn't like that I did it, it seems. So yeah, I don't know why, because I did link to the original. I did say, you know, I sort of promoted their channel as well, and it was a Japanese only video, and all I did was talk about it in English. So anyway, they obviously didn't like it, so they've sort of hit that with a copyright strike. So yeah, unfortunately that's been taken down, and I'll see if I can get around that, and I certainly won't be using their videos in the future for those analysis videos. that's it for today. Don't forget, I think I said already, like, share, subscribe, all that. And if you like what I do, you can support me by shopping at KendoStar, because that's what pays for me to do it. Not only that, it's a really, really great bulk shop. So yeah, go to KendoStar.com. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.